Turn in your packets to our next lesson, which is 7.1.6. Oh, no, not turn into your packets. Turn your packets to. That would be an incredible trick to turn yourself into a packet. 7.1.6. Now, there are 2 pages to this lesson. Most of our lessons have just been 1 page. So down at the bottom, I'm just going to circle this down here, just so when we get down there, we don't forget to go on to the next page. That was a little bit of a problem earlier for us today. And if you look at the next page, it's pretty much the same idea. So when I look at this, I kind of see 6 problems. You guys seeing the 6 problems? Let's look at the first one. So in each of these, the format's kind of similar. Notice that they all involve a situation and a graph and an equation and a table. All right. So that's our goal for today is if I give you one of those things, can you find the other 3? So notice in this first one I gave you everything. We're going to use that as our example. You're going to do the rest. In each of these, I'm only giving you one of those 3 things. Here I'm giving you the situation. You're going to find the equation table and graph. And this one I'm giving you the equation. You're going to complete the situation table and graph. Okay? So our goal is if I give you one of those 4 things, can you find the other 3? Before I release you to work on this, I want to just draw some notes and some connections on this first one. So, and my goal here is to kind of get some written notes, and I like to draw a lot of arrows to help me see where the connections are. So can you guys remember where the connections are between these things? Look at the situation, equation, table, and graph. What is the one number that you see consistent in all 4 of those things for this problem? What is the number on this example that is showing up on all 4 of those things? I see it in the situation, I see it in the equation, I see it in the table, and it's an important number on the graph. Also, the number that I'm thinking of is 1,000. 1,000 appears here, and here, and here, and it is the y-intercept, yes. So let's draw some connections about that 1,000. What is special about the number 1,000 in this situation? It's the starting value. And I'm just going to write that down. Again, we're just taking some notes to help us, if we get stuck later on, to figure out how these things get connected together. So the starting value, that 1,000, is connected to our equation. It's the first thing in our equation. Is this the A or the B? 1,000. Is that the A or the B? That's the A. So the starting value gives us the A value in our equation. It also gives us the, I call this the 0 row in our table. It's the row that's got a 0 for x. And it also gives us the y-intercept on our graph. All right, so that's one of the big features that we're going to pick out of our situation to equations, tables, and graphs. Let's look back at the situation. What's the other number that you see there? I'm seeing in the situation 50% per hour. You answered my next question. You're clairvoyant. What does that connect to in the equation? That connects to the 1.5 in the equation. But let's write ourselves some notes about how that connects, because they're not exactly the same. How does 50% turn into 1.5? Actually, it's more than just the 50%. There's another key word up here that we need. And how did you know it was going to be plus? Because of the word growing. Let's circle that too. So it's growing. That means we're going to be increasing by 50% per hour. And I love that you're thinking, okay, we always know when we're increasing or decreasing by 1%, we always start with 100. and we add on or subtract. In this case, we're adding because we're increasing. 100 plus 50 is 150%. And we have been practicing how to turn that 150% into a multiplier. The key is to just move the decimal a couple places or divide by 100. And that's going to give us our B value. Where does that 50% or the 1.5 appear in the table? It's the growth. Yeah, it's the multiplier. This is going to be our 1.50. We're going to be multiplying by 1.50. Multiplying times 1.50. So that multiplier is coming from this also. I'm going to continue this arrow also over here. Now, it's a little bit harder. This is the hardest one for me to see. Where does that 1.50 show up in our graph? And I'd say in order for me to see this, the easiest way for me to see this is to look at these 2 points. One of them is at 0, 1000, and the other one is at 1, what is that? What's the y coordinate for that second point? 1500. And since this is a step of just 1, then we can use these two things to find our multiplier. So B would be 1500 divided by 1000. All right, so we got lots of arrows, lots of notes. My hope is that that's going to help us continue with this. That is my part. The rest of the work today is up to you. I need you to finish all 6 problems. Once you've finished all 6 problems, please raise your hand, get my attention. I'll check your answers and get you started on the assignment. All right, any questions for the greater good before we get started here? If anybody is working alone and playing music, now is the time to go ahead and get that perfect playlist set up.